Yeah, my name is Kyrie Jones, and my project is about the return. Well, it's called The Return Through a Different Lens by Kyrie Jones. So basically, I used the film The Return, the 2003 film that we watched in class, and then I used Lucia Puenzo, which was the film director for XXY, to reimagine certain scenes. And then my purpose statement was just I plan to analyze two scenes from The Return through the direction and inspiration of Lucia Puenzo. Why the film Return? The Return. I chose this film because it explores family dynamics, the trauma that absence of somebody important brings, and the impact of families on one's identity. It also has many lessons about masculinity and the expectations of children on how they should behave. The film is quiet and uses many shots and filming techniques such as silence or natural lighting or grayish lighting, and a silent film that goes off technique always hits home for me. The actors in this movie were perfect for the roles they were casted, in my opinion. They understood how to use silence and to skillfully express what the director asked of them, which is a big reason why it goes well with the direction from the director of XXY. So for the borrowed lens and film director, the director whose lens I wanted to reimagine was Lucia Puenzo. Um, and I chose this picture right here because it's a good shot that brings like the ocean into the background, and you see how like she uses like natural lighting to kind of create like this cozy feeling, which kind of puts emphasis on the characters and their faces and like the dialogue in the scenes. So like the body language also speaks volumes in the shots. You see how like they're pretty close together and they've just grown super comfortable. And then the frame was just very pretty, a still frame, like a still shot, which made it more emotional to me. So that I was just thinking that I would like to reimagine some of the scenes in The Return. You know, maybe give them a bit of dialogue and just a few extra like close-ups and stuff like this, as far as like, through the lens of, yeah. And this original frame right here, this is my first one I chose. This is the one for the tower jump in the opening scene. For me, I was thinking in this original frame, this was a wide and far shot, and in Puento's version, I think she would like try and make it more of like a close up that gets the emotions of like both of the brothers. This scene would be less about masculinity and like overcoming fears in a way, because that's what this was, like boys growing up and overcoming their fears, and more about like showcasing the vulnerability of the boys. I think more natural lighting, like it's kind of grayish here, but like more natural lighting and like will be used, and you can see like more of the boys like reactions, so like close-ups of their faces. It would be silent and maybe more focused and more on Ivan, because he was the one scared and like actually didn't end up jumping. And then I would say I could see Puenzo putting like the brothers next to each other and like showing their contrasting feelings about the jump. The sound would likely be focused a bit more, such as like the kids breathing or like the sound of the environment, just to be a little more immersed. In this scene, this is where his dad kicks him out and tells him to go fish, but he kept obeying his father's authority, and then it's meant to be interpreted as like tough love, but it if you watch it, it deeply wounds Ivan and his connection to his father. So for this scene, I think Puenzo would make the shot even more of a close-up with like a very steady camera angle and point of view. The silence in the scene is something that speaks very loud, but like I guess maybe getting a bit of like his breathing in here as well, and just like capturing his frustration through like his breath. But like the silence in this scene is something that speaks very loud. Since Puenzo likes to focus on the complexity of human emotion, I feel like I wouldn't be shocked if like she made Ivan maybe look a bit regretful and had that be something to like be kind of the source of his torment. And then the scene, instead of being completely quiet, may change to Ivan verbally expressing like frustration by him saying something like, "He'd treat me better if I was dead," or maybe I was being harsh. That would make the scene portray. This scene will portray the masculinity his dad is trying to enforce in a positive or vulnerable way as Ivan expresses real emotion. And then for me, the importance of reimagining was just reimagining a return through the lens of Puenzo. Drawing inspiration from XXY has made me understand the films much more deeply. This assignment has made me think more intentionally about noticing the techniques that directors use to convey things differently. Puenzo's attention to quietness, portraying real emotion, having closer shots are all great techniques to apply to The Return. I feel that my interpretation through this lens made the film a bit more intimate and enjoyable. And then just from taking a bit of feedback from the AI sidekick, one good question that the AI asked me was how will Puenzo's intimate camera style, tight close-ups on body language, faces, etc., alter dynamics between Ivan and his peers and his father, as compared to, I don't even know how to say his last name, but this part right here helped me a lot because it made me think more deeply about the physical shots and like the role they play in conveying the character's feelings, and then just like how these two directors, from different places shoot things differently. And then another idea, which like I used a bit less, but I did appreciate, was it talked about like transition from his vast and like windy silence to Puenzo's claustrophobic audio focus, amplified breathing, rapid heartbeat, and close ambient noise, which I guess kind of captures the human body a bit more and better. But like, yeah, I didn't really put a whole bunch of emphasis on that because I thought more about like how I wanted to have the actual shots just be much more intense, if that makes sense. But yeah.